Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to get wireless pan tilt zoom control using an iOS app. This has become so popular to get wireless camera control, and it's all done with the magic of a wireless router. So this is something that I want to go ahead and show you, and I'll show you it right here. This is the app. And it can be done with a $10 iOS app, or it can be done for free with an app on our IP address that's built into our PTZ Optics cameras. So let's go ahead and take a look at a video where I'm going to show you how to connect everything with the magic of networking. So the first thing we're going to do is plug in our cameras. So you can see I just plugged in our PTZ Optics camera. This is a PoE camera, so it's actually powered over Ethernet. You can see it turning on there. I also have a second camera, so we're going to show you a 2-camera setup here. Let's plug in that second camera. This USB camera is not PoE, so I just plugged it in via power, and it'll turn right on. You can see next to it we have a Cisco switch. This is a Linksys E1550, and any switch will work, but the nice thing about this switch is it's a DHCP router, meaning it can give out IP addresses. We can plug it into the internet. You can see the internet tab there, and it has a built-in 4-port switch. So it's perfect for 2 cameras, even 3 cameras, and then your computer that you're going to plug it into. And I'm going to take you through the whole setup here, and then of course I need to plug in the laptop. So now that I've got everything plugged into my switch, I'm going to go ahead and log into the switch itself. And depending on the switch you have, you're going to want to look at your manual, but you can see that in this case it's 192.168.111.1. And that's very common for DHCP routers to be .1, the very first IP address in this IP range. So if we look a little closer here, we can see that DHCP server is enabled and on, and we can see the IP address, and more importantly, we can see the range, and that's the 111. On an IP network, there are up to, I believe, 255 IP addresses on a single range. And to check this, you can go into ipconfig in your command prompt in Windows and just type in ipconfig, and you can see the gateway, and you can see the IP address and the range that your computer is given. And that's very important because we need our computer to be on the same IP range as the cameras. Now here is our IP address settings tool, which we can go ahead and click the search button, and it will show us all the PTZ Optics cameras on our network. And we can go ahead and change the default IP address by right-clicking it, hitting config, and changing it, let's say, to 87. And you can see it says a set success. So what we've done here is we've set a static IP address for a camera. We're going to want unique static IP addresses for every camera on our network. Then we can go ahead and connect to them individually. I'll show how to do it with just a regular web browser here by typing in the IP address and the default username and password, which is admin. Now this can be done on any computer on your local area network in the same IP range as the cameras. So whether you're on a iOS device wirelessly or connected to the Wi-Fi of the router that the cameras are connected to, you can wirelessly take control of the cameras. Now let me show you a quick little presentation. If this has gone a little too fast, we're going to have a back to the basics episode on this where we're really going to dig into it. But let me just go over the basics of what a network is to get you your ball rolling here. So first of all, we're going to set up a DHCP IP video network with wireless, and we'll talk about power over Ethernet as well. So next slide here. Basically, a modem connects the computer or router to your internet service provider. So that's really the modem/router you get from your internet service provider, whether it's Verizon or AT&T or Comcast or Cox. There's a lot of different ones out there. Then the router connects your wireless and or wired network to all the network switches. And the network switches are the ones that have all of the ports. Those are the ones that connect all of your devices, like an IP camera or a computer or a laptop. So this is just kind of basic networking. The next slide shows, I just wanted to show this in bold here, the IP range. So generally the last quartet there, so like 192.168.111 is the IP range. So each range is roughly 255 IP addresses till it goes to the next range. And in order for devices to see each other, they need to be on the same range. So don't forget to have your DHCP router/switch manual handy. It will give you the default passwords and ability to go ahead and set this up, which we showed very briefly. There's so many different routers out there, I can't show everything. Now on the back of the DHCP switch here, you can see we have a built-in switch. So there's 4 Ethernet jacks. We use 3 of them in this video. And then we have the internet, which would connect to your router. Or your modem. So then we have just a power, and we just make sure everything's plugged in and on. Now in this scenario, we have 2 cameras, which we showed, and then we have the 3rd port going into my laptop, which allows me to connect to this little local area network that we've created, log into the router, make sure everything's on the same range, and then this actually Cisco router actually has a built-in wireless access point, a WAP. So that's how we're able to also log in with our iPhone or iOS app and make sure that's all working well as well. So the next slide just shows if you did want to have power over Ethernet for all of your cameras, you can buy a very affordable power over Ethernet switch, plug it into your router, and now all of the cameras on your PoE switch can be powered over the network and then plugged into your router. And the router, the DHCP router, is what gives everything its IP addresses. And again, we can still have the wireless control in our laptops, for example. In fact, the laptop could even be wireless there. The next thing is, at the end of the day, we're getting wireless camera control. Again, we're going to have a basic and an advanced networking live stream on our Back to the Basics show. We're going to go in a little bit more depth on all of these topics. I believe that's the last slide, except I did just going to go through everything one more time. Connect the cameras to the switch. Connect your laptop to the switch for initial configuration if you haven't done so already. Make sure your laptop and cameras are in the same IP range so they can all be seen. And if they are not, go ahead and log into your DHCP router and switch and make sure you just check that IP range and make sure everything can see each other. And then set the camera's IP addresses to the correct range if they're not on the right range. The IP address settings tool will find them, but in order to do all the proper connections and everything, you're going to want to get the ranges set properly. Finally, you can add your wireless device, your smartphone device, to the same Wi-Fi that your local area network is set up with all of your cameras, and enter the IP addresses. That'll be the last thing I'll show here. Full screen this is the app here. So, for example, depending on how you have it set up, you can go into the camera. And let's see if I'm showing that off properly. We have a whole video on this, but in settings, you would just go ahead and type in the IP address that you have set up right there. So I know you can't see that well, but that is something that we'll be showing off. We've shown off in other videos, and I hope that gives you a good idea of how to get wireless pan tilt zoom control for your cameras. You can even set up one of these, basically anywhere in your building or office to get wireless control. Just make sure it's connected to your local area network, and you should be all set. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and take care.
Click to watch another exciting PTZ Optics video, and don't forget to subscribe. Tune in Fridays at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern to join our live show with new industry experts interviewed every week.